Now, like usual, Chelsea are busy in the transfer window, making crucial changes to their starting 11. Now, a new player that could be coming in the next few weeks is Xavi Simons. And in this video, we're going to look at why he could be the perfect player for Chelsea to adapt in different systems and just why they want to spend a big amount of money to get him in. So let's get into it. Now, I think over the last couple of years, me and a lot of people have been quite critical of Chelsea's transfers, but I think this year you can't really argue. Bino Gittins, Liam Delap, Estevio, these are all great players that are going to improve their attack over time. And although you might not see immediate upgrades from some of the players like Jackson and Madueke who have left or leaving, I do think overall it'll probably be better for the future of the club, and they definitely can compete this season. Now, Xavi Simons, I think, is that sort of cherry on top of the cake to finish off their brilliant window. Now, first I want to go through how Xavi Simons fits within this team. Now, this is the sort of best lineup I think Chelsea have right now. Obviously, it's a little bit complicated. They've not played that much in pre-season compared to other teams considering the Club World Cup. So you could see some changes. I definitely think in that double pivot in midfield, you might see a few players come in and some come out. Now, what you like to see with Palmer is really dominant in basically this entire right side of the pitch. Most of the touches that Cole Palmer has is in this side, this basically whole right side of area, and he will kind of delve into the middle occasionally and put the odd through ball to the striker, which we saw with Jackson quite a lot over his time at the club, but it's not necessarily his game. Palmer isn't going to be coming down to these left-hand side positions quite a lot. Now, Xavi Simons, bringing him into the team, he will. He's actually very much like Palmer in the sense of a pure creator and a pure player at being able to get little through balls into these areas, just these little like sneaked ones through the defense, but more in the left side of the pitch. If you see his heat maps from last year and anything of most of his play, it's all from this sort of area where he really likes to dominate, while obviously getting into the box a little bit more than someone like Cole Palmer, who prefers to not as much. Now, Xavi Simons in this attacking midfield position is obviously where he is probably going to be the most useful. This is where he can drag players towards him with his brilliant dribbling ability and then be able to go past them in a dribble, but also put the ball through and be able to get past these tight areas. Something you see with some teams is that they're quite nervous to go into these compact areas where there's quite a lot of players here. You see 3 or 4 or 5 people on you, and they will often just go to the wingers and put the ball away from it, kind of out of the block, putting crosses in. Now, Xavi Simons is someone that isn't scared and will take people on, and I think in terms of breaking down low blocks and maybe mid blocks, that is going to be a big thing, especially from these central areas where Xavi Simons can pick the ball up and go past multiple players. He's a bit of a different dribbler to someone like Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is a bit more lanky, better in bigger areas, but also can do that sort of nifty skill work when a couple of players are around him. But Xavi Simons is someone that's got really good agility. He can kind of stay low center of gravity to the floor and kind of just will bobble his way about despite being pushed and not necessarily being the strongest player out there. And I don't think that's a worry for Xavi Simons, as he seems to be able to get past players. Now, for instance, I think this can really help this left-hand side, because I think when Xavi Simons gets into these areas and players have to kind of push up against him, I think it will open the opportunity for Bino Gittins, whoever the left wing is going to be, if you're going to play Neto out there as well, to kind of get in behind. And you have to think Neto, Bino Gittins, these really runner sort of dribbling type of players, are these players that are really good in these big stretches one-on-one because of their pace. Bino Gittins has insane pace and can easily bomb down this line and get in behind if Xavi Simons can find the right pass. I also think with people like João Pedro coming back, this will help a lot with his sort of ability to build up with him, them to pass it with each other, to bait players to get in behind, and you're obviously going to get runners from probably the 2 wingers that you're going to see come in quite a lot, just genuinely with Pedro playing there, and I think that works really well, which could be an easy subside for someone like Palmer if Palmer's not going to be fit or not going to be there for a certain game, although it will obviously shift the team from a right side attack to a left side majority. Now, Xavi Simons is also very intelligent in terms of tactics and understanding build up and tempo, and this is why he can do quite a lot of other jobs, not just being that sort of attacking final third player. You can see him pick up these positions very deep onto the pitch because he will help the team build up, and in these deeper areas, if you've got a runner, he will always be able to shift that ball through the defensive line to attackers, which you can see here when he puts the ball through to someone running in from them deeper positions. And the thing is, he kind of fits Chelsea like a glove because it just makes a lot of sense. He is more of this 8/10 hybrid as well, and one of the best things of not only being that really good effective dribbler against low blocks, he's He's also very effective on the break and at creating his own high turnovers. There's many opportunities in games where we see he picks the ball up himself from these areas and will just win the ball back in high opportunities. And he is a very, very quick player. He's someone that will win the ball back in these situations and then instantly want to run at players. This big space in front of him, which you see here, is something that he absolutely loves. He loves this space because when he can run at defenders and they're running back off him, he has so much capabilities. There is many times you might see him carry the ball a little bit like this, a little bit more forward, and he can even shift that ball through to someone like here running through with the striker. And what you'll see is him bait players in to shift other players to allow them to go through. He has a very good creative level in that sense. Now, the other thing he does in this position quite a lot is, which you will all know about, this isn't really that surprising, is when he picks it up in these positions, he loves a shot. He has got a great shot from range, this sort of range, which is actually quite far out for him, about 30 yards out. He can absolutely laser shots into the net. And if you look at his shot map, which we'll put up on screen, he does shoot a lot from outside the box, which could be a bad thing, could be a good thing, but I think he has a good level of understanding when it's fine to have a shot from distance and when it is not. And I think you would want this guy shooting from outside the box, a little bit like Palmer, but this guy's more of a power shooter than necessarily like a curler, calm shooter like someone like Cole Palmer. Now, obviously, if he comes in for the money that they are looking to pay, you don't want him to not play if Palmer's there. You don't want him to be that backup just in case. You want him to start a lot more realistically. Now, I think the only way that kind of works, and I think you can make it work, is if you move Palmer a little bit to a wing position in many ways and use Simons as this kind of left centre mid player or cam player, if you can argue that is the role. Now, what this will do in possession, especially attacking, is you can have Palmer still come into the middle, which he likes to do anyway from this right hand side, have Simons next to him in this sort of half space to the left, and then you can have Bino get into whoever the left winger is, move a little bit more up front on that last line of the defender, maybe with a Pedro to create a box formation. Now, I don't think they'll do this in terms of Bino Gittins. Maybe you just get Pedro to cover that right side and you play a little bit like a 4-2-4, which kind of makes a little bit more sense, I think. But obviously, this is relatively quite a still attacking team, despite I think Simons is a lot better defender than some players like Palmer. And as a proper 8, he is more willing to come back and help the team. And especially in these like deeper left areas, he is willing to help the fullback quite a lot. Now, you could also, in hindsight, really play Simons in a double pivot in midfield because of these talents. You know, you keep Pedro, you keep Palmer in that attacking midfield. You know, you play anyone on the right. We'll put Estevio there for now. I guess you could have Simons be that sort of 8/10. It is actually probably even more attacking than the system we just played. And you probably don't want Cucurella bombing up the field too much. I know Chelsea like to put him inside the box, especially from these deeper crosses that they create on this right side, which I think works. But maybe you don't want that too much within this happening. Now, I think he could still be good in these areas. Like, we know we've talked about how good he is in attacking in these areas. I think defensively, he works really hard in these areas as well. So I think it's absolutely fine to have him come back and do this role. But you might not get as much creativity out of him, and you might not be as much as you would want. But ultimately, if Caicedo can just sit in a single pivot by himself, which arguably he probably could do, you could probably have Simons move up and it will make you very attacking, especially against teams that sit in low blocks against Chelsea. This could be a really good system, which is something that we haven't really seen Chelsea play against too much over obviously pre-season and quite a while. And I think it's probably their biggest worry I have against the team, because I think against teams that are actually want the ball against Chelsea, I think they're absolutely fine. They're a great counter-attacking team already. Now, Xavi Simons will divide opinion. He's always going to. I think for the money paid, it is going to be a very different and very interesting sign that they're going to make. But I actually think Chelsea, yet again, it's one of them players that I think they're bringing in that makes a lot of sense. Yes, they do have a lot of money where they can just spend on anyone, it seems like, but I think that ultimately Chelsea's team are getting there. Maybe too close to win the league this year, but I definitely think they'll compete, and I think next year they'll definitely be right up there yet again. So it'll be interesting to see how Enzo Maresca uses them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.